What's happening, people? Alright, so today the topic of discussion is that machines make assumptions. I think this is something that's forgotten in all the hype and the amazement of what machines are producing right now. I think machines do make assumptions, and these assumptions are created by humans. It's not that humans are now making assumptions through machines. It's that we have passed it on, kind of like a something hereditary. It's like a birth defect. It's that kind of evolutionary, just fundamental, where a parent passes on traits to the child. Now, there might be mutations, the child is different, it's got genes from mother and father and back through the line of the mother and the father. Machines also are very different, but there are some similarities to us, and I think the most glaring, potentially the most important in the coming decades, I think, is the assumptions we're putting into machines and how those assumptions will grow and become very much the identity of that machine. There is the mutation, the uniqueness of a machine, and that is that is a source of power and influence, and it has an effect on what the machine produces. That let's say an algorithm or the ability to search through just a mass of data to come to conclusions. So there's that, which is powerful and makes the identity of the machine. But also at the same time, there are these assumptions that the machine has been given, that have been passed on to the machine, and coupled with those unique traits will be these assumptions, these hereditary inheritances from us, and that will grow, and as machines become more powerful, they have more influence, they just do more things in our society. Those assumptions at the heart of I think you can call it a personality of the machine, will expand, will grow, and will, I don't want to say muddy, but it will color the actions of these machines. So I think as something that was mentioned in the book, The Master Algorithm, I quote, page 24, learning from finite data requires making assumptions. And I would argue that there really is only finite data. I mean, I don't see how there can be infinite data. There are always assumptions, and this is the rub. This is the kind of come down for this this fantasy of this kind of idealism and putting machines on a pedestal almost. It's the realization at the heart of machines. There are just like this dirty kind of base level commonality with us. It's just like there's racism, there's sexism, there's classism, there's exclusions, and these are essentially assumptions. So yeah, I think it leaves out possibilities. It creates a path for machines, and it decides the future for what these machines will produce. It's not that machines can go anywhere. There isn't a endless horizon. There isn't a horizon without barriers on each side. There are paths, and those paths are decided and influenced by the assumptions that our machines are inheriting from us. So I think only when our machines start to really get involved in some very important parts of our lives, and when the influence of these machines go to another level. We're dependent on machines in many ways, but there is still kind of that master-slave mentality. And I think as machines kind of, their status goes up. I mean, it's strange to talk about this as of machines as having status, and we start to I'm starting to personify machines, anthropomorphize, to give them an identity and a standing that is on par with a living thing. It's increasing. It's becoming inevitable. I think impossible to avoid. So as they rise up in our treatment of them, our acceptance of machines into our own lives, and almost a partnership, then these assumptions will really be felt, because machines are getting more involved. They're doing more things that are actually affecting our lives, affecting society, directing the society in many ways. So, I'm amazed by machine learning. Like I learn different things about them, and I see results in the news, in books and things that are specifically on machine learning, but also in just general news where something happened. So, for example, take medicine. The ability of a machine to predict cancers and things like this, which is just impossible at that level for human beings to do it. It's amazing, and I've essentially become a convert to the necessity for machine learning in our society. I think it's inevitable, but I think the value is just enormous, and what it will produce is, at this stage, it's impossible to know. It's kind of like that, you can go to amazing, positive, beneficial things, and it can also lead to a kind of a destruction, a kind of a nightmarish kind of confusion and chaos, and that's inevitable with anything that has great power. That's part and parcel of it. So I think, but yeah, so given that, I think it's important to always highlight and remember and keep in mind that it's not without, this machine learning is not without assumptions. It's not without a kind of ideology, and that is essentially the major thing that we are passing on to our creation, to machines, is that we're passing on our value system, and our perspective on morality, right and wrong, good and bad, these kind of things. All right, something to think about. I'll see you next time.